How you doing, everybody? It's 17th of December 2009 and it's early on in the morning, and I just wanted to touch about a couple of things if I could. I wanted to touch on property in Ireland, and I also wanted to touch, finally just finish up with this thing about contracts. Alright, before I do that, I just want to say a couple of things. I can't guarantee that I'm not going to lose my temper, okay, because I do feel impassioned about certain things, and when I do, I just let out my feelings. Alright, so I try and control myself, but I don't give you any guarantees. Alright, you just take me as you find me, and if you don't like it, listen, I don't control your switches. Just turn off, go to somebody else. Okay, so I just want to talk about two things today. I said the first thing is I've put links up, two links, Irish Times. First thing, commercial retail property in Grafton Street looks like it's been hit very, very hard. Another company withdrawing after Christmas. Wallace's, Ladies Outfitters. Alright, been there for a long time, gone. Alright, I think what I'll do in the new year, I'll go down with the camera, have a wee look round, and we'll put it up and see what's what and who's there and what spaces are available for sale and all that. Give us a good feel of what's going on. Alright. Next thing I want to talk about, which is much more important, is private property prices and NAMA. And what I want to talk about is a house in number 4 Brighton Avenue, Foxrock. Put the link up. There's a photograph on it in the Irish Times. Have a look at it. Mighty house, detached house, beautiful, in one of the prime property areas in the whole of this country, our little country. Now, put this into perspective. In 2006 and 2007, these houses on the same road, Brighton Avenue, Foxrock, were selling for between 3 and 4 million euros each. This house is available today for 1.25 million. And the lady from Savills in Blackrock, who the estate agent says that if you come up with an immediate offer that you can fulfill immediately, it'll go for substantially less. Well, maybe 1.1 million, something like that. Okay, so you're going to knock off 10% or 10%, something like that. Alright, but you have to be able to do the deal quickly. Now, what does that tell you in relation to NAMA? I tell you what it tells you in relation to NAMA. Brian Lenihan comes across as a benevolent minister, and he's telling us that he's ordered NAMA to take a 20% haircut off the valuations that are on the bank's books for property that they have invested in and give people out mortgages for throughout Ireland. Okay? But Mr. Lenihan, you've got a problem. You've got a major problem. Or should I say, we've got a problem, because you don't have the problem at all at the end of the day. But the problem is, the haircut you should be talking about should be 60 or 70%. That's what it should be. Alright? But we know that's not going to happen. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm just pointing it out. That's what it should be. 3 to 4 million 2 years ago, and it's getting sold for 1.1 million, around 1.1 million today. That's less. That's more than 70%. But it doesn't matter, because we know that's not going to happen. But Mr. Lenihan, can I say one thing? I hope the people of Ireland don't forget this. Because certainly the people who live in Foxrock are not going to forget this. They're all, any of them that have big mortgages out, it's all a negative equity, total and utter negative equity. And forget about selling your house, forget about anything in Ireland over the next generation, forget about all that. This is not going to happen. This negative equity is here for the next 15, 20 years. Get used to it. Get real. And when we get a chance, let's get even with this fucking Fianna Fáil crowd that have destroyed this country. Anyway, final thing I want to talk about is, I want to talk about contracts. Looking up a book on Roman society last night, came across an interesting character called Publius Tacitus, and he was a Roman senator, a Roman historian, but most important of all, he was the consul. And he lived from 56 AD up to 117 AD. And for I think 3 or 4 years of that period he was a consul. Alright? So he would have ruled with one of the Caesars, I think, near or one. Doesn't matter. But he was a powerful man, he controlled legions, and he was the most powerful man in the world, alongside the Caesar that he ruled with. Anyway, the bottom line about it is he wrote several books, and several of the books were like Roman histories and analysis of Roman society, you know, very interesting stuff. And one of them he talks about contracts, Roman law, and his little interpretation of it was he was only a Roman consul, by the way, when he said this. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. I think you've got to take it with a great grain of salt, because this is incisive what this man says. He describes it in Latin as contracts are tabelle inter pares, documents among equals. That's what he describes it as. No bullshitting, 3-word interpretation. No convoluted. You Google it and see. You Google it and you won't sleep tonight. You Google a contract, what a contract is, and go into it. You fucking won't sleep tonight. You need to take sleeping tablets. You'll be up all night. This Roman has it off to a T. Tabelle inter pares. End of story. That's what it says. It's documents, but inter pares, among equals. Corporation backed by lawyers. Corporation backed by lawyers. Contract in between, legitimate. Corporation backed by lawyers. Man in the street walks in, no lawyers. Contract under the law, valid. Under moral law, fraud. Fraud. J.B. Yates draws up a contract, has my lawyer check it out. Fantastic. I go to a mental hospital, take a fool out of a mental hospital, sign that. Under the law, probably okay. Probably alright. Under moral law, not worth a shite. Fraud. That's the world we live in. That's the world we inhabit. I have at the moment I have a credit card. I'm paying it off with a crowd called MBNA. Tiny amount of money, okay? But I was just looking at the contract that I signed 8 or 9 years ago, right? It's 6 or 8 pages. A lot of the subsections you cannot read them. You cannot read them. The writing is less than 1 millimeter high. Under any law system, that should be all invalid, but it's not. They've had all that. They've had the lawyers check all that out. They've had their lawyers check all that out. I signed that. I was probably drawn up with a whole raft of lawyers. I had no lawyers look at it before I signed it. I needed the money at the time. I needed the credit at the time to support me in my little business. Okay, so I ticked off on the boxes and signed it. Under the so-called legal law, the Roman, English, Norman law that we have as our law that governs us, that gives legitimacy to all this, it's okay. But in the real world, in a real sense, this is just toilet paper. That's what it is. It's toilet paper. Nothing more, nothing less. And what it does is, at the end of the day, what all this is about and what the law is all about, the law legitimizes the illegitimate. It gives legitimacy to the people at the top of the little triangle so they can subjugate everybody else under the triangle. It's the monarchist system in all but name. It hasn't changed. And just another manifestation of it is this joke business about contracts. And we people out there trying to legitimize this business yet further. Anyway, we'll talk more about this.